Guys, here's something else. They're going to use every damn thing in their book to control you. And if you don't know that now, and then don't listen anymore and just go on doing whatever you're doing. This was the shtfplan.com. When it hits the fan, don't say we didn't warn you. Okay? This is how gun control laws for mentally ill could disarm those who question authority. Now, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I knew that they really got on this mental health thing, and it's not mental health that's doing the violence, it's the drugs. And you got the doctors behind it. They're pushing the drugs. So this article was originally published by John Vibes at the freethoughtproject.com. Keep calm, carry on, so on. Okay, the growing debate about natural right to self-defense, one of the most popular proposed methods of gun control, has been restriction on gun ownership for those who are deemed to be mentally ill. All right, when any collective group is banned from owning guns, they are effectively turned into second-class citizens. You know, like you go to jail, you're a felon, you get out, you've done your time. Automatically, all of your rights should have been restored. But no, they want to keep this label on these people so they're not able to buy firearms. Now, there are different types of felons, but I mean, if you hadn't used a gun to rob somebody or kill somebody or used a knife or any kind of a weapon, I don't think that you should fall underneath that category. Now, politicians, I think they should all fall under it. It says, when any collective group is banned from owning a gun, they are effectively turned into second-class citizens. In the case of mental illness, that classification is so vague and open to interpretation it could possibly be applied over half of the population depending on which criteria you use. You see, that's the problem. Everything's vague, everything's open to interpretation, and they can use any criteria that they want. I'm not talking about just mental illness, I'm talking about everything in general. Everything, people. Mental illness can be very hard to identify since there's no kind of official test. Okay, they're diagnosed according to subjective opinions of the doctors that observe them. Okay. Psychiatric drugs are another possible factor that could get someone marked by the government as mentally unstable, but a classification like this would allow for a larger portion of the U.S. population to be disarmed. According to a 2016 study by JAMA, the Internal Medicine, more than 1 in 6 Americans on some type of psychiatric drugs. This is not to mention the large number of people who reported symptoms of depression or anxiety and don't take medication. A policy like this can allow government to disarm dissidents and political enemies. As psychiatry becomes more influential during the middle of the 20th century, rulers around the world are beginning to use mental illness as an excuse to lock away anyone who might disagree with them. The Soviet regime became notorious for this practice by labeling all political dissidents as mentally ill so they could be locked away in institutions where they weren't no threat to the establishment. The United States government has also have a long history of slapping unruly citizens with the mark of mental illness. President Franklin Roosevelt famously called his distractors the lunatic fringe, and this type of attitude towards activists has carried on in the halls of government to this day, and don't we know it? Well, in the Dictionary of Mental Illness, known as DSM-5, published by the American Psychiatric Association, like they know what these people are, they're called, they're practicing, they're not, these people aren't for real, they don't know they're asking a hole in the ground. Anyway, the Psychiatric Association has actually a condition listed for people who have a problem with authority. Oppositional defiant disorder is the name that the psychiatrists have made up to identify children who won't do what they are told. Now even adults are being diagnosed with this condition as well. I got to zoom that in, guys, because I want you to... Opposition defiant disorder. Okay? It's the name that psychiatrists made up to identify children who won't do what they are told. And now, even adults are being diagnosed with this condition as well. Now, I'm not going to read this on and on and on and on. I'm going to put the link in there, and you guys can go to it. This is very important, and you should read this. I mean, this isn't just, you know, something that somebody just made up. This has been going on for a long time. And if you look in the Communist Manifesto, they have a thing on that, on getting everybody labeled as mentally defective. Get rid of the arms. You got a free reign in this country. Don't let them take a single one. Do not let them kick these people out that are felons, or kick these people out who've had domestic violence, because anybody in that kind of a situation can not really turn violent, but as you're fighting back, because you know that's the way it's always been, even in the animal kingdom. So just keep this stuff in mind, people. Read it so you know what's going on, and don't let them push you into this little collective group that they got going on so that they can take your guns. I'll read that one more time. When any collective group is banned from owning a gun, they are effectively turned into second-class citizens. And in the case of mental illness, that classification is so vague, open to interpretation, that it could possibly be applied to over half of the population, depending on which criteria you use. Okay, guys, I've talked enough. I'll put the link in.